Hey guys, welcome back to Political Pundits. Yes, the pun dicks. Today we're going to be discussing Charlie Baker here. Our boy Charlie Baker. He's the governor of Massachusetts. He's a Republican governor. He has actually a very high approval there among Democrats and Republicans. He's the most popular governor pretty much in the country right now. And he decided to comment on uh, the whole aspect of transfer of power, peaceful transfer of power, because Trump made some comments recently about questioning the integrity of mail-in ballots and saying that he wouldn't necessarily commit to a transfer of power and he would, quote unquote, have to wait and see.
Yeah,
So Charlie Baker has some remarks.
Baker, a Republican, as he said, a Republican governor of Massachusetts, as unlikely as it sounds for how liberal Massachusetts is,
Oh,
he has a 90% approval rating among Democratic voters in our state. So he knows how to do his job well, and he knows how to represent his constituents well, or else we would not have such a high approval rating for him. But I am going to roll the clip about his response because the reporter asked him his opinion on this.
A huge part of this nation's glory, to the extent it exists as a beacon to others, is the peaceful transfer of power based on the vote of the people of this country. Mail-in balloting has been with us forever. And that peaceful transfer of power is what the people of this country rely on when they go to vote. It is appalling and outrageous that anyone would suggest for a minute that if they lose an election, they're not going to leave. Period. And I know that I speak, I am sure, for the vast majority of the elected officials in the United States of America when I say that. And that's where I think a big piece of the voice, whatever happens on Election Day, will come from. How many times at the end of an election have we heard the words, "The people have spoken"? Now, we all spent that primary being very excited about the size of the turnout we had here in Massachusetts. Record-setting turnout in our primary. That's a good thing. And I said at the time when I got asked about it, people think there's a lot at stake in this election. And there is. Whichever state you're from, region you're from, or where you're voting up and down the ticket. So one way or another, the people are going to speak in November, up and down the ticket for all those races that are out there. And those of us who serve in public life will do everything we can to make sure that the people's will is followed through and executed on. Because that is fundamentally why there's a United States of America in the first place.
Thanks, everybody.
So as you saw there, he's quite. It's not even that like he made a statement. He was pissed. He even shook his head at the end. He was visibly upset and angry. So this clearly bothers him on a personal level, not just a "oh, I'm just saying this to cover my ass" level. This bothers him on a personal level, and that's very significant.
yep, that was side of Charlie Baker. I don't think we see all the time because he's usually more of like a calm person, I guess. He's more a little bit boring. You don't really hear too much about him. But, there you go. He had some tough remarks for Trump, and
So as soon
yeah,
as I saw this, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to see what Trump's gonna say in response, because I know Trump well enough to where if anybody criticizes him, he gets a tweet for it. So I did check, and there is a tweet for Governor Baker. and unsuccessfully trying to defend mail-in ballots is kind of ironic, considering this was disproven. It was 7 ballots, and they were all mislabeled. And then he called them wrong, Charlie. But look who got the flag for not having correct voting information. Every single time Trump tweets about the election, I swear he gets one of these because he's always trying to throw disinformation into his tweets to he's trying to justify an invalid election. He's trying to say, hey, look, all this voter fraud happened, where there's still not a single case of evidence for it. So it's just kind of funny to watch him do this.
There's a tweet for everything and everyone.
Yeah, there literally is.
And that's what it is. That's Trump. He just tweets about everything. He tweets about everyone. And,
speaking of Trump and tweets,
it's him. I mean, tweets I don't really care about. Sometimes I chuckle.
So, speaking of tweets, we're gonna segue right into the what's happening tab of, hey, the years-long battle of trying to get access to Trump's tax returns have finally culminated in something where apparently the New York Times actually got a hold of some of them through a source. So, of course, since I didn't list their source, you can bet who tweeted fake news in all caps without any context. He just said fake news on Twitter, although it is pretty obvious what he's talking about. But I actually read through most of the New York Times article. I mean, it's really long. Like it's extremely long. But the two biggest takeaways that I've gotten from this are the fact that A, he is in a legal battle with the IRS over $7 million worth of taxes that he claimed a refund for. And B, he has only paid $1,500 of taxes for 2016-2017 combined, which is, considering I pay more taxes than that, is gonna piss off a lot of Americans.
I personally think that conservatives are going to find a way around. They're going to be like, oh, they use an anonymous source. They should release the source. And Democrats are going to be like, oh, look at him. He's a bad businessman. I think that the biggest thing out of this, that if Democrats want to use it, is looking at all of the money that gets funneled to him through foreign countries. Because I think that was revealed in this too. And the hundreds of thousands of dollars he is in debt to other people. So, and the deadline for that, it's coming up soon. In about 4 years, he's going to have to pay up. And whenever you're in debt with people, and whenever you receive money from foreign countries, you have to answer them. You have to do their bidding. And that's what these tax records show. He is receiving money from foreign countries. He's deeply in debt, and he is essentially owned by these people, and he does their bidding.
Yeah, what I think is also important about this is if Trump wants to claim fake news and then just do nothing else about it, Democrats are going to be like, well, if it's wrong, prove it to us. Show us your tax returns. And Trump's going to eventually say no. And that's just like it's almost implied guilt. Like, if you're saying it's wrong, but then you're not proving why it's wrong, then you just still look guilty. That's the whole reason why him denying showing his tax returns and breaking that precedent of presidents showing their tax returns looks extremely suspicious. So apparently New York Times is going to be releasing more information through the tax returns over the course of October, which is a deliberate play to affect the election and show, hey, look, remember this? Look, these are Trump's tax returns, and they're going to do this every week with more new information that's going to be all over the news, and it's going to be in the Americans' minds all the way through November.
So is this like the October surprise, or is it?
I genuinely think this is going to be the October surprise.
Unless Corn Pop joins.
This no.
Corn Pop joins the race. That should be the October surprise. I just hope it's that.
No, but I genuinely think that this is going to be the October surprise.
This just gives another talking point for Democrats. This is going to help them. I just don't know if too many minds are really going to be changed by it.
It's not that they're going to change their mind. It's going to help make up independents' mind. Because if an independent, let's say the average American's making $80K a year, they're going to pay probably at least $10,000 in taxes. Does that sound about right to you?
Sure.
So that's $10,000 a year. And when they look at the head of their country, who is a businessman no less, only having to pay $750 in federal income tax, that is going to piss a lot of people off. And yes, I do understand that he pays a lot more money in other kinds of taxes, but the federal income tax of only $750, when many Americans, almost all of them, pay more, is just something independents are not going to like. So I think there's actually going to be a big bump in the polls in the next few days reflecting this.
I'm not too sure if there's going to be a bump, really. I just personally don't think so. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I just don't think it's really going to change the game too much. Most people are already convinced who they want to vote for. Sure, it impacts that 10%, might lean back and forth, but 80% of the country's already deadlocked set on
Yeah,
who
but
they want.
that 10% is exactly what Trump and Biden are currently fighting over. It is
Yeah,
definitely safe to say that those who want to vote for Biden and those who want to vote for Trump, that those are concrete. Everyone's fighting over the independents at the moment. There's nothing that's going to come out about Trump that's going to cause his base to leave him. There's not much about Biden that'll come out that'll cause his base to leave him. So as this is a really polarized election where they're just fighting over the independents.
but the other thing is to how much people really care about this. Oh, and something I was also thinking of is this reveals how people at the top are able to kind of get away with paying the federal tax. Trump's not the only billionaire that does this.
Oh, all
He's
of
not the
them do.
only rich
All of them
person.
definitely do.
Most of them do. They like to use their accounting tricks and do whatever they can to pay as little tax as possible. They find all the loopholes, everything they could possibly do. And this is just one example that just came to light, and it's just more significant because he is the president. Um, so that's definitely something big. But I'm not sure how much people really care about Trump's taxes, because people they just care about their health care. They want the ACA to be protected. Most people care about their finances right now. They're not really all too focused on, oh, did Trump pay X amount in taxes? I just don't think
While they
people
may
really
not
care that much.
while they may not care about the tax return themselves, this it's not like what the tax returns are, it's what it says about Trump that people might care about. Because he's been saying, I forget his exact statements, but he's been spewing a lot of talk about how he earns so much money and how he's making money on his businesses, where his businesses have reported losses over the last few years. He's losing money to his businesses. So this could just have the interpretation of showing him as just a fraud. And when they say, hey, look, there's a fraud in the White House, I don't like that, that might change. It might not, it's not going to affect all the independents, but it might swing maybe a percent somewhere. But I do think it's going to have at least a good impact for Biden.
I remember his initial response because someone asked him, and he might have just learned about what came out. He just says, I pay tax. So that was pretty much his
I
response.
pay tax. Yes, so does everybody else, bud.
Fake news. That's his response. Fake news.
Oh man.
So I mean that was kind of expected. Nobody.
Yeah, it's a
that
weak response. All right, that is all we have for you today. As this story unfolds, we will be sure to at least check back in on it. Probably late next week if the New York Times has revealed anything else or if this story has developed further. Remember, we have
yes,
the political
we
pundit.
are dicks, political pundits. That is what we are. DICKS.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a good day.